And so I say to you, when the struggle stretches longer than expected, when doubt casts its shadow, when every part of you is tempted to turn back, remember this. The man who wins is not the man who had the smoothest path, but the one who walked forward when others sat down. Refuse to surrender. Refuse to stop. Plant your feet, clench your fist, and tell the world, I will not quit. For time itself will kneel before the relentless soul who chooses endurance over ease and persistence over retreat. Persistence trumps speed, because success is never the reward of the hurried but of the committed. In every endeavor, whether building a business, developing a skill, recovering from a loss, or chasing a lifelong dream, the spoils are not claimed by those who burn out in a blaze of early energy. They are earned by those who keep going when the fire fades, when the enthusiasm dries up, when no one is watching and no applause is heard. The world is filled with people who started strong and disappeared just as fast, not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked talent, but because they lacked the will to endure. A man who takes one steady step each day toward his purpose will, over time, accomplish more than the man who sprints with force, but stops the moment resistance appears. Success is not a contest of who moves fastest, but who refuses to stop moving. The race is not to the swift, but to the one who shows up again and again, undeterred by how slow progress might seem. Persistence requires a certain kind of faith, the belief that consistent effort, no matter how much, counts. It builds pressure behind the dam until one day it breaks through. History has repeatedly shown that those who changed the world were not always the quickest to rise. They were often dismissed, underestimated, and doubted for years. Yet their refusal to quit outlasted criticism. Their daily effort, almost invisible at first, became undeniable. They didn't achieve greatness overnight, and they didn't need to. What they had was the strength to keep showing up. They wrote one more page, practices one more hour, made one more call, learned one more lesson, and over time those actions multiplied into much. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they stop. They grow impatient. They expect rapid results in a world that demands persistence. They confuse motion with progress and believe that fast always means forward. But forward is not measured by pace. It is measured by direction and consistency. When a tree grows, it does not rush. It stands firm. It weathers storms, survives seasons, and reaches for the sun inch by inch. Its power is not in how fast it grows, but in the fact that it never stops growing. That is how greatness is built. There's a kind of power that belongs only to those who persist. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's not something that gets praised on social media or showcased in highlight reels. But it's real. It's the kind of power that lets you rise after defeat, that keeps you walking after the crowd gives up, that lets you do the hard thing again and again and again, until the hard thing becomes easy. Every master was once a beginner who kept trying. Every champion was once a nobody who trained when no one else was watching. Every success story is written in chapters of struggle, confusion, and perseverance. Speed can be seductive. It makes you feel like you're achieving something quickly. But speed is meaningless without control, direction, and endurance. Speed fades. Persistence builds. The man who starts fast but quits when the winds change accomplishes little. The man who adjusts his sails and continues, even when the wind disappears, is the one who eventually reaches the shore. Persistence is the quiet force behind every major achievement. It's the hammer that hits away at the stone until the shape is revealed. It's the heartbeat of resilience, the soul of discipline, the root of all meaningful progress. There will be times when moving forward feels like crawling, when the world tells you to give up, that it's not working, that it's taking too long. But if you've chosen the right path, the slow path is still the right path. Don't be fooled into thinking you're not advancing just because your pace has slowed. The man climbing a mountain doesn't measure progress by speed. He measures it by how high he's come and how far he's willing to go. You will be tempted to quit. You will have days when your steps are small and your strength is low. But those are the moments that matter most. Because each time you persist, when it's inconvenient, when it's frustrating, when it's unclear, you gain something speed cannot offer: depth of character, grit, inner strength, and the unshakable certainty that you're becoming the person capable of carrying the dream you pursue. Speed may bring quick wins, but it is persistence that builds a legacy. In the pursuit of any worthwhile goal, too many individuals are held hostage by the illusion of perfection. They wait for the perfect timing, the perfect plan, the perfect skill, the perfect opportunity, never realizing that waiting itself is the greatest threat to their progress. They stand still, paralyzed by the need to get everything exactly right before taking the first step. But progress does not demand perfection. It only demands movement. It does not require flawless execution. It requires forward action, however small, however uncertain, however slow. Progress is the lifeblood of... It is the evidence that motion is happening, that inertia is being conquered, and that vision is being translated into action. Even if the pace is slow, even if the steps are imperfect, is proof that you are not where you once were. And that is everything. No skyscraper was built in a day. No mountain was climbed in a single leap. Greatness is not delivered. It is built brick by brick, layer by layer, moment by moment. And it all begins with a decision to move. There are people who spend years planning, preparing, thinking, analyzing, and yet they never start. They convince themselves that their delay is wisdom, that their pause is prudence. But in truth, most of the time, it is fear in disguise. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. But the only way to become good enough is to begin. The only way to improve is to act. The only way to succeed is to make progress. You cannot correct what you haven't created. You cannot refine what you have not started. Action creates clarity. Each step reveals the next. Each move forward brings new insights. The man who acts will always know more than the man who waits. The one who moves learns what works and what doesn't. He discovers, he adjusts, he refines. Meanwhile, the one who waits for perfection learns nothing, gains nothing, and builds nothing. He may carry ideas, but the other carries experience. He may have dreams, but the other gains results. It is not the amount of thought that transforms ideas into reality. It is the courage to act before you feel ready. There is power in small beginnings. One step taken in faith is worth more than 1,000 intentions never pursued. Too often, people belittle their progress because it feels insignificant. Only a little, or it's not enough. But even the smallest forward motion changes your position in the world. A seed breaking the soil is still a miracle in motion. A single page written is still the beginning of a book. $1 saved is still wealth being built. Every effort counts when it is consistent. The mountain is conquered not by leaps, but by steady, deliberate steps. Progress builds confidence. The very act of moving forward, even slightly, increases your belief in what's possible. It shifts your focus from obstacles to solutions. It makes the dream feel real, not because you've achieved it yet, but because you've proven to yourself that you are capable of taking action. Each tiny gain is a victory. And when you stack enough small wins on top of each other, they become unstoppable momentum. People chase perfection because they want to avoid pain, embarrassment, or failure. But perfection is a mirage. It cannot be reached because it was never real to begin with. What is real and what leads to actual achievement is the willingness to make mistakes, to fall short, to get back up and keep going. Progress is messy. It is filled with missteps, revisions, and learning curves. But those things are not signs of failure. They are signs of growth. They mean you're in motion, which is the only place where success can be found. If you study the journey of any high achiever, you will not find a straight line of perfect decision. You will find a long, winding road filled with failed attempts, imperfect stops, course corrections, and imperfect efforts. But through it all, there is progress, forward motion, a refusal to remain stuck, a willingness to try again. And that, more than anything, is what separates those who dream from those who do. Waiting for perfect robs you of your power. Progress returns it. It gives you control over your life. It reminds you that you are the builder, the creator, the initiator. You are not here to wait for conditions to be ideal. You are here to create momentum in spite of the conditions. The man who moves forward in the dark eventually finds the light, but the one who waits for the light before moving will never escape the darkness. Perfection is passive. As progress is active. One keeps you trapped in fantasy. The other delivers results. Choose movement. Choose motion. Choose to begin even when it's not perfect. Because the road to every extraordinary outcome starts the same way. With one imperfect, courageous, committed step forward. Every person who has ever set out to accomplish something great has encountered setbacks. These are not random misfortunes nor signs that one should turn back. No, these are tests. Checkpoints on the road to success that ask a single question. How badly do you want it? Because desire, real desire, is not revealed when the path is smooth and the skies are clear. It is exposed in the storm, in the delay, in the frustration that comes when the dream doesn't unfold as easily or as quickly as imagined. Setbacks do not arrive to destroy you. They arrive to refine you. They separate the curious from the committed. They distinguish between those who merely wish for success and those who burn for it. Those who are willing to sacrifice, to endure, to struggle, and to keep going even when logic says quit. Every great achievement has its trial by fire. Every dream worth chasing must pass through the forge of difficulty. It's in those moments that your character is called upon to rise, not retreat. Obstacles by their very nature demand response, and the response you give reveals your level of desire. When a door slams shut, when an opportunity fails, when plans collapse, the man who is faint of heart will turn back and tell himself, or perhaps it wasn't meant to. But the man who truly desires his goal will knock on another door, climb through a window, or build a new path with his own two hands. Because when the desire is deep enough, you do not stop for inconvenience. You do not fold under pressure. You see the obstacle not as a wall, but as a question. Are you willing to go farther? The man who sees failure as a message to quit will never know the limits of his own power. But the man who recognizes failure as a lesson, a signal to adapt, to change, to become sharper, wiser, stronger, that man is on the path to mastery. Life will not hand you success for free. It demands proof, and that proof comes in your response to adversity. Can you show up again after being knocked down? Can you stay committed when results are slow? Can you still believe when nothing around you supports the dream? It is easy to be passionate at the beginning. Energy is high. Vision is fresh. The possibilities seem endless, but time has a way of fading. Test your will. Challenges test your will. People will doubt you. Doors will close. But these things do not come to end the journey. They come to challenge you to prove your desire. If you can persist through them, you will become the kind of person who not only reaches goals, but commands them. Every time you face a setback, you are standing at a gate. On one side is resignation, the path of the masses, those who gave up too soon. On the other side is perseverance, the road of those who broke through every obstacle because they refused to accept it. Which direction you choose depends not on your resources, not on your intelligence, not on your luck, but on your desire. How bad do you want it? That is the question life asks again and again, and your answer is not spoken with words. It is spoken with action. Desire cannot be a shallow wish. It must be a fire that survives the rain, a flame that keeps burning even in the coldest night. Anyone can say they want something, but only a few will do what's required. Setbacks are the sifter. They expose the shallow from the deep, the talker from the doer. They ask, will you keep moving when the wind is against you? Will you find a way when the map runs out? Will you keep building when the world tears down what you've started? Look closely at anyone who has ever accomplished something worthwhile, and you will see behind their success a trail of failures, heartbreaks, disappointments, and defeats. But you will also see the one thing that mattered most. They didn't stop. Their desire was real. It wasn't built on conveniences. It was built on conviction. That is the difference. That is the test every dreamer must pass. You must be willing to get back up when life knocks you down. Not once, but every time. You must learn to smile at the obstacle because you understand that each one is simply another opportunity to prove you belong where you're going. You must treat setbacks not as punishment, but as part of the process. They are shaping you. They are teaching you. They are teaching you. They are asking for your proof of desire, and you must respond with action, with persistence, with boldness. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when you question whether it's worth it, when the struggle feels too long and the path too steep. But in those moments, remember, if it were easy, everyone would do it. If it took no desire, there would be no glory in achieving it. The higher your aim, the harder the trial. And the harder the trial, the clearer the truth becomes. Only those with real desire will remain standing. Emotion builds momentum. What begins as a slow crawl becomes unstoppable motion with time and consistency. Written in the style of Napoleon Hill, without mentioning him, no subheadings or conclusion. The beginning of any great undertaking is rarely impressive. It is often quiet, uncertain, even awkward. The first steps feel small, insignificant, almost unworthy of mention. Progress seems painfully slow. Results are invisible, and doubt looms like a shadow. But there is a secret that the persistent eventually discover. What begins as a slow crawl can become unstoppable motion, provided you keep moving. For motion, when sustained, becomes momentum. And momentum, once built, can carry a man farther than strength alone ever could. In the early stages, effort feels heavy. Every task requires conscious willpower. There is no rhythm, no flow. Starting is hard, continuing is harder, and quitting feels tempting. But consistency is the seed from which power grows. When you repeat an action often enough, the struggle fades and something remarkable begins to happen. The same task that once felt burdensome becomes second nature. The weight feels lighter. You move faster. You become more efficient. And without even realizing it, you've built momentum. Momentum is not gifted. It is earned through repetition. It is the reward for those who endure the dull moments, who show up when motivation is gone, who continue without applause or validation. It cannot be faked. It cannot be rushed. But once it is yours, it becomes a force that propels you forward. Momentum takes over where motivation ends. It becomes the invisible engine that keeps you climbing, creating, improving, not because it's easy, but because you've trained yourself to move regardless of how you feel. A man who takes even one small action each day will, over time, achieve more than the man who takes none while waiting for inspiration. The reason is simple. Every small movement adds to the next. Like drops of water filling a reservoir, motion accumulates. Each task completed, each decision made, each habit reinforced adds weight to your movement. Eventually, the resistance fades. You no longer have to fight to begin. You now fight to stop. The same energy that once went into overcoming inertia now propels you forward with force. People often underestimate the value of consistent motion because they are fooled by the apparent speed of others. They see someone winning, producing, excelling, and they assume the person has some special advantage. But what they don't see is the foundation of momentum that was built inside. They don't see the hours, days, or years spent moving, even when nothing seemed to be working. What looks like sudden success is rarely sudden. It is the visible result of invisible effort applied relentlessly over time. Momentum changes everything. It increases efficiency. It sharpens focus. It simplifies decision-making. When you are in motion, your mind becomes clearer, your emotions more balanced, your actions more decisive. You no longer waste energy starting over because your habits are aligned. You're no longer overwhelmed by the size of the goal because you're already in motion toward it. You're no longer paralyzed by perfectionism because the act of doing has already become part of your identity. At first, the world may not notice your effort. It may even mock. People might not understand why you wake up early, why you practice, why you push when there is no audience. But in time, your results will become undeniable. Because when momentum is on your side, progress becomes exponential. What took days now takes hours. What felt impossible now feels routine. Momentum multiplies effort. It makes you faster without rushing, stronger without strain, and better without even realizing it. The man who remains still may avoid failure in the short term, but he will never taste fulfillment, because nothing grows in stillness but regret. The man who moves, however slowly, builds strength with each step, and that strength compounds. Over time, his crawl becomes a walk, the walk becomes a run, the run becomes a sprint, not because he was born to move fast, but because he never stopped moving when others stood still. Do not wait for momentum to come before you begin. That is not how it works. You must begin in order to create it, even if the pace is embarrassingly slow, even if you feel uncertain, confused, or unqualified. Move anyway. Do what you can where you are with what you have. Because momentum is not created in the mind. It is created through action. Every movement counts. Every repetition matters. Every small effort adds weight to the wheel until it turns on its own. There will come a moment, if you persist, when the effort becomes ease, when the discipline becomes joy, and the routine becomes a rhythm you cannot live without. That moment does not arrive overnight. It is not dramatic, but it is real. And it is available to anyone who is willing to move, to keep moving, and to trust that in time, even the slowest motion will build unstoppable momentum. Your vision holds you steady. When the pace is slow, your vision becomes your anchor, reminding you why you started. Written in the style of Napoleon Hill, without mentioning him, without subheadings or a concluding sentence. There comes a time on every journey where progress slows. The excitement of the beginning fades, the novelty wears off, and the results do not come as quickly as hoped. It's in these moments, When the climb feels steep and the pace feels painfully slow, that people begin to wait. Doubt creeps in, distractions multiply, and the temptation to give up whispers louder than ever. But the individual who holds a clear vision does not stumble easily. When effort feels heavy and motion becomes uncertain, it is vision that keeps a man steady. It is vision that reminds him why he started. It becomes the anchor in a sea of resistance. Vision is more than a goal. It is the vivid picture of what could be. It is the inner image that speaks louder than fear, louder than fatigue, louder than failure. When carved deep into the mind and heart, vision becomes a source of energy. No obstacle can drain. It pulls you forward when your legs grow tired. It lights the path when the way seems lost. It fuels discipline when motivation dies. Without vision, labor feels meaningless. With vision, even the hardest struggle feels purposeful. The world is filled with those who began with ambition but lacked vision. They had ideas, enthusiasm, energy, but no anchoring image of their destination. And so, when adversity came, and it always does, they were swept away. But the ones who endure, who rise from failure again and again, who persist long after others have quit, they are guided by vision. They see the end even when the path is dark. They are not fooled by current circumstances because they are loyal to what they know is possible. A slow pace is not a problem when your eyes remain on the prize. You may not be where you want to be, but you know where you are going. And that alone is enough to keep the fire alive. The man without vision loses direction the moment progress stalls. But the man with vision finds clarity even in chaos. He knows that the temporary delay does not mean defeat. He understands that the process is as valuable as the result. His vision whispers, stay the course. There is no great achievement without a guiding vision. Every masterpiece, every invention, every enterprise was first formed in the imagination of a person who refused to let go of their dream. And they held to it not only when things were going well, but especially when everything seemed to go wrong. Because vision is not for the beginning, it is for the middle. It is for the moments when you wonder if it's all worth it. It is for the long nights, the rejections, the failed attempts. It is in those moments that vision becomes your most valuable possession. The stronger the vision, the steadier the heart. When you are anchored in your why, distractions lose their grip. You do not chase quick wins or fall prey to temporary comfort, because your eyes are fixed on something far greater. You can endure the monotony of repetition, the loneliness of long effort, the silence of unseen progress, because your inner picture is more vivid than your outer reality. That picture becomes your proof, your direction, your compass. When everything feels like it's moving too slowly, when others pass you by, when progress feels invisible, your vision reminds you that speed was never the point. You are not here for momentary success. You are here to build something that lasts, and that kind of creation takes time. The vision helps you endure the wait. It helps you keep going when the applause is gone. It helps you invest the effort day after day because you know the payoff will be worth it. Not something you create once and forget. It must be nourished. It must be revisited. It must be burned into your mind through repetition and belief. You must see it in detail, hear it, feel it, walk in it mentally long before it becomes real. The clearer the vision, the stronger your resilience. The sharper the image, the less power circumstances hold over you. While others are guided by what they see, you are guided by what you believe you will one day see. When frustration rises, when momentum fades, when progress slows to a crawl, close your eyes and return to the vision. See the finished product. Feel the triumph. Taste the result. And then open your eyes and take the next step. You may still be far from your destination, but you are no longer lost. You are no longer driven by the need for speed. You are moved by purpose, and purpose is stronger than faith. When others question you, when your mind begins to question itself, it is your vision that will answer. When results do not yet justify the effort, vision gives you reason to continue. When your current reality contradicts your desires, vision reminds you that the story is not yet finished. It tells you to trust the process, to honor the mission, and to keep moving forward, no matter how slowly the journey unfolds. A quitting guarantees failure. The only way to lose is to stop. Keep going, and time will kneel to your effort. Written in the style of Napoleon Hill without mentioning him, with no subheadings and no concluding sentence, there is one act more destructive than failure, more permanent than rejection, more fatal than any obstacle. Quitting. The moment a man quits, his chances of success fall to zero. As long as he moves, even slowly, even in pain, there remains a chance. But the instant he gives up, the story ends. The ultimate truth. The only way to truly lose is to stop trying. Everything else, every delay, every setback, every fall is simply part of the journey. Quitting masquerades as relief. It comes disguised as logic. It offers comfort in the form of escape, but the comfort is temporary. The regret is not. The man who walks away from his dream to avoid difficulty soon finds a deeper burden, the burden of wondering what could have been. He avoids the pain of the process only to invite the pain of unfulfilled potential. He trades struggle for stagnation, effort for emptiness, and in doing so, surrenders not just the dream, but a part of himself. You can stumble, you can fall, you can even collapse under pressure, but if you rise, if you continue, if you endure, then failure has not won. You still hold the power. History does not remember the number of times you fell. It remembers that you got back up. Every successful individual has walked through failure, but they never quit. They pivoted, they adapted, they persisted. They treated obstacles not as signs to turn around, but as signals to press forward with greater intensity. There will be days when it feels like you are standing still, like the world is moving ahead without you, like your efforts are invisible and your dreams are unreachable. But if you are still in motion, even at the slowest pace, you are still alive in the fight. Progress may not always be visible, but persistence never lies. It builds in silence. It compounds in the dark. And then suddenly, it reveals its reward to the one who stayed in the game. Time is a silent judge. It watches. It waits. It waits. It does not reward the talented who stop or the brilliant who doubt themselves into paralysis. It rewards the one who continues, the one who shows up again and again, the one who refuses to let go of the dream, no matter how long it takes. Time will bow to the man who respects the process, who honors effort, who fights long enough for compound results to appear. It kneels to those who refuse to kneel to discouragement. People often assume success belongs to the lucky or the gifted, but the truth is simpler and harder. Success belongs to those who don't stop. The talented man who quits is outdone by the average man who keeps going. The genius who overthinks and walks away is passed by the stubborn soul who works without recognition, without speed, but with unshakable will. Consistency defeats brilliance. Grit outlives genius, and refusal to quit turns time into an ally rather than an enemy. When you feel tired, you are being tested. When everything goes wrong, you are being refined. When you feel like giving up, you are closer than you think. The hardest part is not the work. It is surviving the doubts, the delays, and the dry seasons where nothing seems to happen. But that is where champions are forged. In the silence, in the struggle, in the moments when no one claps, no one notices, and no one believes except you. Quitting might feel desperate. Life will give you plenty of reasons, but none of them will ever outweigh the value of There is nothing more powerful than a man who decides, I will not stop. He may cry, he may fall, he may bleed, but he moves. And that movement, no matter how imperfect, eventually wears down the wall in front of him. Not with speed, not with brilliance, but with That is a man who wins. Not the loudest, not the smartest, but the one who stays. You are allowed to rest, but not to retreat. You are allowed to doubt, but not to disappear. You are allowed to fall, but never to fold. The path may be long, the reward delayed, but quitting a It kills the dream. It turns possibility into regret. And the worst part? You may never know how close you were when you gave up. The treasure could have been just one more effort away. Every time you choose to keep going, you build a deeper resilience. You learn to trust yourself. You learn the right to stand tall. Success does not come to the one who never thought of quitting. It comes to the one who thought of it often and kept going anyway. What separates the few who rise from the many who stay. The will to continue is what makes the impossible. And over time, even time itself will bend in respect to the one who refuses to quit.